Hello and welcome to episode 35 of GameSpot After Dark, or as I'm keeping track here now, part 3 of the Work From Home edition. My name is Jake Decker. I'm your host. Joining me this week is Lucy James.
Hello.
Callie Plaguey.
Hi.
And joining us this week, a special guest, Ben Hanson, founder of MinnMax.
Hello. Thanks for having me, everybody.
Of course.
Welcome.
How you doing?
Real good. I'm in the freezing cold MinnMax studio here in Minnesota, but I've been a fan for a long time. Like, this is, GameSpot is my favorite video gaming site, going back when it was videogames.com. I stumbled across it when learning how to use the internet. So I'm so happy to finally be on it in a way here.
Is this your first time, ever on a GameSpot thing?
I think it is. I was really thinking about it. Well, I guess I've been on the Beastcast, but that barely counts, right?
They're part of the Viacom CBS family.
Okay, all right, I guess. Yeah, and I was on CSI once, but that's not important.
Whoa.
Wait, what?
No, I'm just messing with you.
No, that is important.
That's not true. But yes, thank you for having me on.
Anyway, we start this show off with normally we started off with what we've been playing, but this week we are going to start with the Chris from Dayton, Ohio segment. Although it's going to be a little shorter, I don't have all the questions in front of me. So we're going to keep it simple. We're going to go back to our roots.
Wait, Jake, we got to do the theme song.
Oh yeah, the theme song.
Ready? Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da. Chris.
Haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ben,
Yes.
the gist of it is you just tell us what you do, what you like to do, what games you like to play, just a little bit about yourself, whatever you feel like telling us.
What
you don't
I
even
like
have to
to
talk
do.
about games if you want.
Okay. Oh, that's fun. No, I like talking about games. Yes. So, hi, I'm Ben Hanson. I'm in Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota. It's an odd place to cover games, but I love it here. It's my favorite place to live. And so I was at Game Informer. I started at Game Informer in 2010 as the first video producer, the first full-time person working on video. And so I eventually went on to host the podcast at Game Informer. But also while there, the very fun part was I went on basically every cover story trip. So I ended up going on 80 cover story trips. So it was spending 2 days at studios, filming interviews and stuff. And on that monthly magazine rotation, it was super fun. And then towards the end of last year, there were some layoffs at Game Informer that were pretty brutal. And so I decided to leave and found something called MinnMax here, which is really just a studio in my basement, but it's a Patreon. So I gathered together some of the former Game Informer folks that were laid off, and now we have a whole network about games, friends, and getting better, as we put it.
Nice. Congrats on that. It's been fun to watch you guys build up that community and whatnot. It seems like you got a really good group of people who are sticking to you guys and following you.
Oh, man. Yeah, it is absurd. The whole idea of I guess, at the lowest tier of the Patreon, we can have access to a Discord. That'll be a fine thing. That seems like a thing to do. And it has been the most important thing, just having that sense of community. And also when it's behind a paywall, even though it's such a small paywall, but just even a $1, $2 paywall, it just cuts out so much of the noise on the internet. And everyone is just so sweet and supportive. And a really interesting thing has happened too, where since we said MinnMax was an overall thing, an overall site about games, friends, and getting better. Having that self-improvement angle has just lent this positivity towards the entire community that's been really fantastic. And so, yeah, the community, I am in love with them. They are so great. And so we do big game club discussions. It's kind of seems like the thing that the community is most excited about, where we have what we call the best, most thorough discussion about games on the internet, which I think is true because we just wrapped up a big game club for Chrono Trigger, which we call the deepest dive, by the way. And on that one, it was 6 hours of us going as in-depth as possible about Chrono Trigger, along with hundreds of people playing and sending in comments, and then we filter those down to the best of the best. And so it gets so specific and so fun, and it's really fun to tear a game apart in a positive way. And so we're doing one on Animal Crossing right now, and we have the Final Fantasy VII remake coming up very soon. And Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game of all time, so I cannot wait to just get as detailed as possible with the community on that thing.
Dang, that's really cool. I've never played Chrono Trigger. Tamora keeps telling me to play it all the time.
You would love Chrono Trigger.
I know. I need to play it one of these days. And I got it on DS because Tamora told me that was a good version to get, but I don't have my DS with me, so I can't play it. Now would be the perfect time too, right?
Okay, honestly, just get it on Steam. I know when it came out, everyone was like, oh, it's terrible. And it was. When it launched, they have quietly patched it to a place now where it's like, it's totally fine. Like, just play that version. The font is a little bit screwy at times, but just for the ease, like, it's a great version at this point. And it holds up surprisingly well. Like, I love the game, but we had 2 people on the game club. It was their first time playing through it. And they're both like, this is fantastic. It's amazing. It just, like, cuts out a lot of BS from old JRPGs. It's just the good stuff.
Yeah, I definitely want to check it out. I remember buying it on Steam when it first came out, but then I looked on Reddit and everyone was like, this is the worst port ever. So it's like, all right, I'm going to refund this and play it differently. But it's good they fixed it up.
Yeah, now you can just buy it again after your refund, which is a fun cycle for modern gaming.
Before we move on, though, I got to ask you, sorry to put you on the spot. Do you have any dirt on Mike Mahardy?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so he was an intern at Game Informer back in the day. We just actually had an interview with him on MinnMax talking about like his time in the industry overall and stuff. And I was trying to crack that shell a little bit because he has such a tough tone. You know, like some people are a little put off by his tone of like, I don't know exactly what's going on in that head of his because kind of has an odd one. But okay, trying to think of dirt. I'm thinking of like, let's see.
I love that as a summary of Mike so much because I've known Mike for years and years. We used to freelance at the same time at IGN.
Yeah.
You've obviously known Mike for years. And yeah, you're like, what is going on in your head? He'll just say something. You're like, oh, did not expect that one.
Or he'll just take a bite out of a banana, skin and all.
But
or stick that banana right in a coffee cup.
Yeah.
Good times. Let's see. I was trying to find like an old Halloween photo to try and remember like what costume I went as the year before or something. So I went to Google Photos around last Halloween and just typed in Halloween, and it popped up a bunch of just debaucherous pictures of Mike and I from years ago at a Halloween party here in Minnesota, where it was like I was dressed as like this spooky Slender Man, and I think he was like Wayne from Wayne's World. Trying to remember who. No, he was Marty McFly or something. But it was just like a lot of like basically almost making out shots, just drunken blur. And I was like, I don't remember. This is a weird thing to have in my phone, but that is the Mike Mahardy in my mind now, is him trying to make out with Slender Man.
I really hope it was Wayne from Wayne's World. Like he went without a Garth. Like he was just Wayne by himself.
Shows up to a party. Hey, maybe I can find my Garth here. Let's see how it goes.
You never know. And you were that Garth for him, even when you were not dressed that way.
That's right, spiritual Garth. But yes, he's a dear friend and a sweet guy.
Anyway, Callie, how's Animal Crossing coming along?
I've got great news. Our store is finally upgrading. So, talked about that last week and how it was actually driving me to the brink. And yesterday, Isabel made the announcement that business was booming. Nook's Cranny was going to get updated. And it's under construction today. Took 33 days. I have no idea what the requirement is.
Oh,
I've been asking everybody because like we've been working on a lot of guides and I want to get this information. And I've been like consulting with different people like who have had their store upgrade. And I'm hearing 28 days. I'm hearing 70,000 bells spent. I'm hearing all these things. Well, I spent like way above 70,000 bells. And it was 33 days for me, so maybe there's something that we don't know. But that guide comes out on April 9th, and I did buy it. So there's that. But it's Bunny Day now. April 12th is actually Bunny Day, which is Animal Crossing's version of Easter. In the Japanese, they just call it Easter, and it's kind of funny to me because it's really like a fucked up take on Easter with like a horrible rabbit, like Five Nights at Freddy's ass.
I don't like that rabbit. I don't like that rabbit.
He looks like a serial killer.
He comes starting on April 1st, at least this year. It's like a rolling, they have kind of like a live game, like ongoing game approach to New Horizons. So this year it's April 1st through 12th. You can find eggs all over your island and craft them, and the horrible bunny will give you rewards.
It reminds me of that episode of Futurama where they have Robot Santa and everyone hates him and is terrified of him and like pulls all their blinds down so that Robot Santa won't visit. Yeah. That's what that bunny reminds me of. I hate him.
Futurama, you can't prove it won't happen.
It's true. Did you see that Twitter video that was being sent around where like somebody using the camera mode was looking at Zipper T Bunny as he's dancing around and doing his usual Zipper T Bunny stuff, and then like walked away. And it turns out like when you're out of frame and far away from Zipper T Bunny, then he's like, whew, and he like sighs and just like relaxes, basically just lights a cigarette. Not really, but like he just completely turns off his character, which is such a fun detail that how would they think of that?
Yeah, like
I would have loved if he just like takes his mask off and then just
yeah, basically.
It's just like Tom Nook. I saw that before I saw the Twitter video. I saw it because I was trying to take like creepy photos of Zipper T Bunny because he was standing behind one of my trees and I wanted him to look like a serial killer. So I was taking like artsy photos in the camera mode. Yeah. And very on brand, I think. And I walked out of frame and then he did that. He like sighed and just like went like he kind of just is like, all right, cool. They're not on to me anymore. Like, it's really weird. I don't like it. But anyway, that's going on. I'm looking forward to the Earth Day event, seeing what happens with Leaf, the lovely sloth, who's very happy. Also, I have a villager in my town that Jake really wanted. It was like the only villager that you wanted. Jay. And he told me today that he wants to move out. So I'm letting him move out and hopefully he'll go to Jake's town. Because I think you can, once they're like,
really cool.
Yeah, once they're packing up their boxes, I'm almost positive you can like, if Jake can come to my town and like talk him into moving to his island.
Really? See, this is the fun part about Animal Crossing right now, though, is the fact that you're like, I'm almost positive. That's what I love about Animal Crossing is it just feels like word of mouth. Like, I think this is what is triggering this for me. I don't know. It feels like we're all back on the schoolyard. It's such a fun vibe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm having a great time. I mean, I'm not having a good time from a I have to write guides perspective on it, not knowing things. But I'm having a great time talking to people and being like, oh, like, does fruit still rot? Can you try it for me? Like, oh, does this happen in your town? Because this thing happened. And so we're going to find out tomorrow if Jake can actually steal this villager from me, basically.
Nice.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Lucy, how about you? You've been playing some new DLC.
Oh, man. So I loved Control. Control was one of my favorite games of last year. I was super excited for Foundation to come out. And then I started to play Foundation and I remembered that I've just completely forgotten how to play Control. It also didn't help that I started to play and when you boot up the DLC, it unmaps the service weapon and removes all your mods. I think it just must be like a bug, but I saw a couple of people say that on Twitter and I was like, oh yeah, that'd help, wouldn't it? But
so you have to like just it doesn't like erase it, you just like have to redo it in your inventory.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that in the first combat encounter.
Oh, no.
It was like, wait, is this a part of the DLC? I've just like lost all my powers or something? No, I just didn't have my weapon equipped. But it's super. I mean, Control is one of the most confident. It's one of the most confident games I think I've ever played in terms of its tone, its aesthetic, its style, and honestly, even though it's been a while since I've played any of it, I think the last time I played some Control was October last year. I was just spending time like levitating around and using throw and just chucking stuff. And just throwing rocks at people because it just feels so good. Foundation itself, it's tough, but I think part of that was just me being out of practice.
Totally.
But it's so good. And now that I'm playing it, it has photo mode that I just keep getting distracted. But it's great. I love Control.
Yeah, it's got such a cool look too because it's like you're underneath the oldest house at the foundation of it, of course. And so like all the ground is like cool red sand and stuff, at least in like the starting areas, which is the only area that I've played so far. But it looks sweet.
It's so good.
Is it, don't get into specifics because I don't want to spoil anything, but is it answering some questions that were lingering from the end of Control? I'm looking forward to playing it. But like I haven't played the other DLC so far just because as fun as that game was to play, right? I'm waiting for story, especially the Alan Wake stuff.
Oh man, Alan Wake, I'm very excited for that. But no, this is, I want to say that it'll answer the questions. Right now, it's just presenting me with more, but in a really cool way. I think like the main sort of storytelling thread that you're following is one of the characters who you meet in the main campaign, Marshall, I believe, has gone missing and you're trying to track her down. And that's why you go to the Foundation. And it's like, even though I'm down there and I have both of the new powers now, so one of them lets you. It's not really so much a power, it's just breakable environment. So you can sort of break holes in the ground if enemies. There are new enemies and they are tough. But you can break holes in the ground so that they'll fall through them. And the other one is you can pull these sort of mineral. You can either pull them into spikes or pull them onto new platforms to traverse over. So you can kind of get to new places. So I have those, but story-wise, I'm still very much in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
But how's the checkpointing?
It's better. But I think there's just more of them. And the area that it puts you in the foundation itself, it's very much, like you'll do an area and there's a centralized area and then you'll go off and do a section of it and then you'll unlock a little pathway back. And, it just feels like it's a lot more open. I'm not doing as much fast travel anymore. And checkpointing wise, because there was a section where I was dying a lot, but the checkpoint was really good.
Yeah, and they also redesigned the map a little bit to make it easier to read. It's pretty subtle, but they have a blue tint now, so you can have a better idea of what's an upper level, what's an lower level. Because that's definitely my main complaint about the main game is I spend so much time looking at that map, what? Where am I supposed to be going here?
Yeah, it was a shockingly detailless map in some ways.
Yeah,
I guess this is okay.
I totally agree, but then I kind of found that I was overcompensating by looking at the signs in the game, which I kind of enjoyed doing more. I was like, oh, okay, I need to go to research. I need to go to this section. I'll just follow this sign and hopefully it'll be through there.
Yeah.
Whether that was intentional or not.
I didn't use the map for most of the game, I would say. I was just following that. And then I found the map and I think I opened it and I was like, no, this is not helping. But occasionally you get to the point where it would be like, all right, I got to use the map. And then I'd sit there and stare at it for a long time while I tried to figure out where I was, where I needed to go, how different corridors overlapped or didn't overlap. But yeah, that game's good. I'm excited to come back to it.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean,
I'm taking my time.
I guess I'm waiting because I'm playing Animal Crossing, but I'm excited. You don't have time.
You can wait for necessary things like talking to Zipper T Bunny.
Oh my god, I know.
But that's me. Yeah, just control.
I guess I'll talk about what I've been playing before we get to you, Ben, because you've been playing an exciting new game that none of us have played yet.
Yeah, well, new.
Newish, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
New in a sense. I guess for my Half-Life update, I finished all the Half-Life games except for Alex. I'm still halfway through Alex. I finished episode 1 and 2. I think last time we did this, I had just finished Half-Life 2 for the first time. And then I moved quickly on to episode 1 and episode 2, finished both those. I really liked episode 2. I thought it was great. My favorite part about it, though, was actually not in the game. I was looking up a guide just to get some of the collectibles. And at the very end of the guide, it said, "We'll see you in Half-Life 2 Episode 3." And it was on a GameFAQs guide from 2004 or whenever. And I was like, heartbreaking.
Oh, no.
That was my favorite part.
Photos taken seconds before disaster.
Yeah.
If you had to rank the Half-Lives, if you say that episode 1 and 2 are their own game entries, how would you rank everything you've played so far?
Ooh, that's tough because I liked episode 2 a lot more than I liked episode 1. But I think Half-Life 1, to be fair, I didn't play Half-Life 1, I played Black Mesa.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I think that was my favorite one. And then I would probably say the episodes and then Half-Life 2. Like I've said before, I did end up really liking Half-Life 2, but I think I just played it too late. A lot of the impressive technical design and stuff like that was just kind of lost on me because it's still impressive, but it doesn't have that same effect as it did in 2003, 2004. That said, though, I really enjoyed them. I'm very excited to go back in and finish Alex because I made it about halfway and I was told I should stop and see how the other games ended. But I'm in the process of upgrading my PC because it was having a lot of trouble playing Alex. So I'm going to wait for that. And then hopefully next week or maybe the week after, I can give my final thoughts, rank all the Half-Life games. Did you have a chance to play Alex, Ben?
No, I watched Serial Vasquez. We streamed the first hour and a half here at MinnMax, and I get nauseated really easily. And so I was having a tough time watching him. And so I was like, okay, I can't even play it, but maybe I'll try it again and watch Danny O'Dwyer's, it's on his personal channel, but he has a full walkthrough where he's going through the game. So I tried watching that again. I'm like, I can't. It makes me too sick. So I then have just listened to a bunch of spoiler casts about it, and it sounds great.
Yeah, that's the boat Lucy and I are in.
Yeah. I mean, Greg has a Vive Index, and Vive has always historically been the headset that I've had the least amount of trouble with. So I am tempted, but at the same time, part of me is like, oh, if I go through all the hassle of setting it up again, and I feel sick, is like, I mean, to be fair, I've not got much else going on, so I could just do it.
Just load up on Dramamine, and you might be able to blast your way through it. Yeah.
Ginger's good.
I think there's a mod now where you can just play it all with mouse and keyboard.
Already?
Really?
Yeah, I thought I saw someone on Twitter being like, here's how you can play with mouse and keyboard. It probably doesn't work very well because it seems a little too quick, but give it time, right? I bet you, like, sure, I've played that game and it's definitely meant to be played in VR, but if you can't get through VR and someone has a mod to play that mouse and keyboard and you really like Half-Life, I think it's probably totally worth doing because some of the story beats I've seen so far are really cool. It'll definitely won't feel as tense or exciting as I'm sure it would be because, like, you know, in Half-Life 2 alone, you probably fight more more zombies in one level than you do in the entirety of Half-Life Alyx. But, like, still, apparently that story and that ending is worth it. So
Yeah.
And you know it too.
I do. It seems very cool. I'm happy for Half-Life fans.
Anyway, and then apart from that, I played a bit of the Modern Warfare 2 remaster, and man, that game like goes off the rails so fast. I forgot like
in
how
a
nuts.
good way.
Barely remember it, man.
Like, yeah, I guess in a good way, but like the first level in that game is already way more bombastic and ridiculous than any level in Modern Warfare 1. Like, I don't know if you remember. I didn't remember it. I had completely forgotten it. But you go through this town. You blow up this bridge. You go through this town in a tank. And all these buildings are collapsing. And I think Marines shout hoorah at least 50 or 60 times throughout the 10-minute level. And, like, it is absolutely absurd that that game came from what was Modern Warfare 1. Not to say that Modern Warfare 1 wasn't ridiculous and bombastic, but they were definitely in the sequel mentality, I guess, with that back in 2009.
Yeah, I mean, I love Modern Warfare 1, and they literally, let's Stay Frosty is a big thing in that game. They do all that shit, but I have a lot of nostalgia for Modern Warfare 1. I feel like my memory of Modern Warfare 2 is just only no Russian. Like, I just really have very little that sticks out to me. Whereas, like, Modern Warfare 1, there was so much that, like, you know, like, All Gillied Up and Mile High Club and even, like, the nuke going off. Modern Warfare 2 is just, like, the no Russian discourse, and that's it. So, I mean, I am curious what people's take on no Russian is, especially, like, now. But I also am, like, maybe I just want to play that game again. Can we not do that? And I kind of want to just play the game again and try to remember what it was like.
Yeah, I haven't seen like the hot take squad out there for no Russian yet. Maybe I'm just not on Twitter as much as I should be. Are people writing the big think pieces about this thing again?
I think I saw one.
Okay.
But for the most part, I don't think I've seen it, which I'm kind of thankful for. I was like, we already did this in 2009. I don't know if I want to do it again.
Doesn't feel that long ago, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in, you know, if it's written the right way, it's still worth doing. But
yeah,
totally.
I'm not looking forward to like Twitter threads and like I would rather read a whole piece about it than like 6 different people's Twitter threads. No.
Here's why no Russian is problematic. Tweet one of question mark.
Yeah, and it's like we've
I don't
done this. I've been here.
Well, you can't buy the campaign in Russia apparently. I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, it's unavailable in Russia. At least this is what I saw on Twitter.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not true, but I would 100% believe it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Russia had problems with it originally, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they're also pissed about the remake or new version of Modern Warfare about like what was it that the Bridge of Death or whatever that exact scenario was.
The Highway of Death.
Right. So maybe there's still some ill will over that saga.
Yeah, which
I
don't. I can't even get into that.
I will say I definitely like recommend revisiting Modern Warfare 2 if you've got a PlayStation 4 and if you've got $20 to burn, because it is interesting. It feels like a very different game. I don't think it's aged. Now, I guess to be fair, I haven't finished it. I've only played the first couple missions, but I don't think it's aged nearly as well as Modern Warfare. Part of that might be due to the fact that I think they spent a lot more time on that Modern Warfare remaster than they have with the Modern Warfare 2 remaster. I don't know that for certain, but just I'm getting that vibe so far. Whether or not it's true, I don't know. But it is interesting. I think Modern Warfare 2 has a lot of great set pieces, but it really lacks the subtlety that made, I think, Modern Warfare's campaign kind of more than the sum of its parts, I'd say.
Yeah, I was talking to Phil Hornshaw, an editor at GameSpot, who's been playing the remaster, and we were just kind of talking about how Call of Duty stories, like outside of some standouts, have kind of devolved, or have been, not devolved because it's been that way for a while, including Modern Warfare 2. It's either like, we were going to make this about PTSD and then we decided not to, or the good guys had to do some bad things, but they're still good, okay, with some like insanity in there. Both kinds, like Black Ops also has its crazy weird stuff. But those are like the two flavors of Call of Duty story that you get. And I think that's another thing, having played the Modern Warfare remasters recently, is like, I don't know, that game is not like a masterpiece of storytelling or anything, but I think it really did try in ways that some other Call of Duty games did not. So
Totally. One thing I will add just really quick is I think I've actually talked about it before, but the Infinite Warfare campaign gets a lot of shit because people hated Infinite Warfare, but that campaign is really good. And
that's what Phil said. Phil was like,
so it's Infinite. It's the one that, do you remember when they had the trailer for it?
Yes, it's the Kit Harington. Yep.
Yeah,
the big old Kit one.
That's the one that I didn't play because I played
most people didn't play it because YouTube.
Spacey.
It was the most disliked video on YouTube for, I think it still is.
Oh,
yeah, and it came out with the Modern Warfare remaster, so most people just played the Modern Warfare remaster.
Right.
Yeah. But the campaign was like really good because it was all one shot. Like you'd start the game on Earth, and then you'd get into a spaceship, and then you'd fly to your base, and then you'd go into your base and you'd interact with different crew members. You'd pick different missions on a map, and then you'd go down to your hangar, get in your ship, fly to the mission, do the mission, get back in your ship, and fly back. It was all seamless. It was really cool. And like, I get why Infinity Ward didn't want to continue to pursue that because the fans were really mad about it. But I thought that game was pretty cool.
You know, it's no press F to pay respects. Not.
That's true. Anyway, Ben, what have you been up to?
Oh, hey, I don't know. So last night I finished Resident Evil 3. Finished the remake, yeah, and I am fascinated by the reception of that game. It is all over the place, and it's so fascinating. So GameSpot, it's like a review in progress right now. Is that right?
It actually should be, by the time this goes up, it'll be final.
Okay, but it was still on the lower end of the spectrum from what I saw.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a 6.
It is a 6. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time with it. It's such a weird thing because I think a lot of people talking about it are going to naturally compare it to the Resident Evil 2 remake, which last year was MinnMax's Game of the Year for 2019. We really loved it here. And so when you're talking about Resident Evil 3's remake, it's just a lot of talking about the negatives. And it's important, I think, to zoom out and just like, big picture, I had a really great time playing this game. I enjoyed it maybe 70% as much as I enjoyed going through Resident Evil 2. But like that 30% is just a lot of like, well, then this, then this, and this. Yeah. And I know a lot of hardcore Resident Evil fans are a little bit upset that like they're removing some of the replayability and they've stripped out some big things that were in the original, like key locations and stuff like that. But like, I played that original game, over 20 years ago. I remember fighting some sort of worms in a graveyard, something like that, So I'm not that annoyed if big chunks are missing. I don't really notice it as much. So I had a really great time with it. Like, what's everybody looking forward to with this remake? Like, what's your best case scenario for playing this thing?
I mean, I really liked Resident Evil 2 remake as well. And I just kind of want more of that, I would say.
Yeah.
I've also, Resident Evil 3 is the only one, actually I haven't finished Resident Evil 1, but Resident Evil 3 is the only one I haven't started or played at all of the mainline series, so I just kind of want to play it to see what happens. But I don't know, I liked Resident Evil Remake 2 a lot, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I think you'll have a good time with it. Like, it moves. Maybe it moves too fast. Like, there's definitely moments of, what is happening with this story? And I know the writing is never spectacular in Resident Evil games, but when this one in particular, it's like, by the time things are wrapping up, I'm like, I don't really know who these characters are. I've barely interacted with them. It dials up the action much more than Resident Evil 2's remake, and it's tough when talking about that because it's like, oh, it's inching back into that kind of like Resident Evil 5 territory, but it's not. It is not Resident Evil 6. You know, it is not to that level yet. It's just like starting to maybe think about going back in that direction, and a lot of fans, I think, are going to be a little bit upset about that overall. But if you're looking for, like, you know, if you're not big on replaying Resident Evil games and you just want a fun experience that is very similar to Resident Evil 2's remake, I think you'll have a great time with it. Like, I finished it in 6.5 hours. I know some people are complaining that it might be a little bit short, and, you know, not different scenarios and stuff like that, but maybe it's just because I enjoyed having just a shorter experience, and also then at the same time, I'm a notorious coward. Like, Resident Evil 2 just terrified me. And I realized, like, I was 3/4 of the way through Resident Evil 3, and I was like, I haven't really been scared yet. Like, this is this is a good sign, I think, for what I want from games, is that, like, okay, it's not that terrifying. It's intense when Nemesis comes out, but it doesn't freak me out the way that, you know, a licker would in Resident Evil 2.
Sure. And I guess that, as well, like, the flip side of taking... Because it could also be you could have the alien isolation problem, in that if that game was 10 hours, it would have been perfect, and it was like the perfect level of intensity and horror, but it was stretched out to, I think when I played it was like 20 something hours, and by the end I was like, oh, it just keeps going, and I'm bored, and
Nemesis
that really
must be bored
detracted
at
from
this
my
point.
experience. Yeah, so, like, I can understand the people who are happy that it's short, because it feels like there's always a discourse about, oh, games are so long these days.
Right. And maybe if, you know, you're not into the Resident Evil Resistance multiplayer mode and stuff like that, like, it seems like a good game for, like, once it goes on sale, you know, 5 months from now, you'll pick it up and have a solid time with it. But on the Nemesis front, obviously he's the star of the show here, and a big complaint is that he's a lot less dynamic than he was in the original. So it's a little more set piecey, and he just pops out at the same times every time. But again, if you're playing through that once, like, you will still, your heart will race when he pops out, you know? Like, I'm not big for set pieces overall, even like Call of Duty. Like, I play all those campaigns and I enjoy them, but at the same time, I'm never like, yeah, oh my God, the explosions or anything. But, like, every time Nemesis popped out, it was like, okay, here we go, you know, cold sweat as I'm just trying to get around the corner, trying to dodge zombies on my way to somewhere safe. So he's still intense, even if he's maybe not as interesting as a lot of people were hoping, because a lot of people were hoping, based on Mr. X and Resident Evil 2's remake, that, oh my God, imagine that, but blown out to a whole game, and that's what Resident Evil 3's Nemesis could be. It is not an expansion on Mr. X. It's almost a dialing back of what people liked about Mr. X.
That's something that Alessandro mentioned in his review too, right, Callie?
Yeah, I there were a couple things you touched on that Alessandro did talk about in his review, like the set piece moments, and, like, kind of how that was a little jarring to him, like, and obviously I don't want to speak for him, but having edited his review, he talked about, like, you kind of get swept up by the story taking you from location to location, and you don't really get to, like, sit with anything too long.
Yeah.
So the brevity of the game, like, I like short games because I like completing things. It makes me feel accomplished. But he was just talking about how, like, by the time you get used to a place, you gotta go, and the characters, like, there was something not quite right about that to him. So I totally respect that.
Yeah, it is an odd feeling. And I was thinking about, like, why does it feel like it's moving so fast? And I think it's a small thing, and maybe not character focused, but there really aren't puzzles in it. It's pretty bizarre how much they've stripped out on that front. So there's not much of, like, going through the files, reading things, not too much of like rotating objects. Like basically it's like, okay, you're going to be doing a lot of lockpicking, picking up a lot of keys and just slowly working your way through it. But it turns out when you remove that puzzle aspect from Resident Evil game, you feel like you're studying your environment and really soaking in each room and moment a little bit less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so Resident Evil 2 Remake was my first Resident Evil game, which is weird because my brother is like super into Resident Evil. He's played all of them. I just like never got into it. And I liked being scared. There's footage of me screaming at lickers, but it was a lot of fun. And so I would rather have that. I like things in that sense that are slower paced and less action focused, where I get to feel that tension and not be stressed out about, like, it's weird. I know being scared and being stressed are very similar emotions, but they are distinct to me. So I'm excited to play it because I know my brother's definitely going to play it, and I'm with my family right now, so I'll be able to like at least watch him play it and see how he likes it and see if it's something I'd be interested in. But I'm not sure that the action focus is exactly what I'd be looking for. So
yeah, it's also significantly easier than the Resident Evil 2 remake. Like, if you're a Resident Evil fan, I would recommend playing on a harder difficulty out of the gate, because playing it on normal, I am not good at games in general and Resident Evil in particular. And so playing through it, I was even like, man, I have more than enough ammo at all times. I have so many herbs sitting around and first aid sprays that I never used. It's really, really generous. And it kind of gets away from that beauty of the Resident Evil 2 remake, I feel like, where it felt like every room was, oh my God, I'm out of ammo. I'm effed. I don't know how this is going to work. Okay, I found one more bullet. Great. Now I can get by. And there's not really that tight sense of like the perfect balance of desperation like there was in Resident Evil 2.
Have you had a chance to play the multiplayer at all?
I just like the tutorial.
Okay.
So,
yeah. I guess it's probably not live yet, or there's not too many people playing it right now, right?
Yeah, they have the beta, which I know had problems launching on PlayStation 4, but I think it's up on Xbox and Steam right now. And so maybe the review build was separate from that, because I was waiting for a while for a lobby to fill on Steam, and it wasn't happening.
Okay.
Alessandro was able to get into matches. That's what we were waiting for the review in progress, and it's finalized now. Yeah.
Oh, were there any takeaways there?
That it has interesting ideas, but it's pretty clunky. That it doesn't, the controls don't feel super responsive, according to Alessandro. It sounds like he said, like, in its best moments, especially when you're playing as the mastermind, because it's an asymmetrical multiplayer sort of deal. So if you're like the one player that gets to be evil, he said in his review that there's moments that makes it feel like a real-time strategy take on survival horror, and like those are its peaks, but that it's brought down a lot by the clunkiness of the gameplay. It's definitely an interesting one because it seems to still be in beta, but all the monetization is live. Obviously, you can buy it. It's part of the Resident Evil 3 package. That's why it qualified for review for us, because we did that with Warzone as well. Call of Duty Warzone is technically in beta, but it's ostensibly a complete game, and all the monetization is live. So we did that with Resistance as well. So maybe that's something that like it has the potential to get better, is kind of the gist that I'm hearing. I talked to my friend Max Scoville about it, and he was all excited about Resident Evil 3 as well. He said he had a good time. So
yeah, it's that multiplayer mode. It definitely feels like something that years from now there's going to be a strange fan base out there of like, what was actually cool was that weirdo thing that they bundled with Resident Evil 3. Like, that was awesome. But like, somebody wrote into the MinnMax Show podcast this week asking like, why didn't they just make a Left 4 Dead style thing? It seems like people are so hungry for that. You just take the Resident Evil items and enemies in there. Like, not that, bing, bang, boom, piece of cake, Capcom, but like that formula would have been a perfect fit for this. And to go for the asymmetrical thing, it's funky, it's cool. I just don't know if it's going to have as much of an audience.
Yeah, asymmetrical multiplayer is kind of like having a weird moment, I feel like. I don't know. I was thinking about like the Prey DLC, Doom. Yeah,
I played Predator the weekend in beta for that, which was so much fun. It's like it's the perfect amount of janky. There was a point where I was playing as a soldier, and I got stuck in the environment. I got stuck in the base of a tree, and we had to. It was all 5 of us playing. We're on party chat, so we had to sort of enter into this agreement with. I think I can't remember who was playing as the predator, but it was like. Because there's no friendly fire, so we had to enter into an agreement with the predator that they would come and kill me, and then they would go away in the opposite direction for like 20 seconds, and then come back once I had been rezzed by my team.
You've got a deal.
Perfect level of jank. And it was a lot of fun.
I'll go back to my starting point.
Yeah, pretty much.
1, 2, 3. So it's like I played it a little bit too. It feels kind of like a PS3 level shooter. It's a weird level of quality on that thing. But I guess if you have a group of friends rolling with it, it could be a good time.
Yeah, we were lucky because I think my roommate was trying to play too, and he just couldn't get into. It took him forever to get into matches. Whereas because we were rolling as a 5, we would just go in straight away, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, good.
But then we didn't play for that long. We went back to Overwatch very quickly.
Yeah, I do want to try that out.
Fun.
Because, like, if anything, it reminded me a lot of, like, Dead by Daylight and the Friday the 13th game. And as janky and buggy as those games were when I played them, it was still just fun to mess around with friends in.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I was thinking about with Resident Evil 3? And then also I was thinking about it again when I finished Kakarot, the Dragon Ball game earlier this year, is like, I think we need to be more appreciative that QuickTime events have just basically gone away. Like, those 2 games in particular seems like they should have been packed with QuickTime events. 0. It is stunning that is just gone.
It's weird, because I feel like there was such a big outcry about them, and then they just quietly went away.
And we need to appreciate that.
I don't know if I would have noticed if you hadn't said anything, but you're right.
I'm trying to think of, like, the last game I played with QuickTime events.
God of War?
Those were, like, debatable QuickTime events for 2018.
Like almost?
Yeah.
Days Gone.
Oh, Days Gone.
Oh, Days Gone.
Okay. Well, it's Days Gone. But yeah, it's nice that we've moved on. And the nice thing too is like, yeah, it's fine. You don't feel more or less engaged. It turns out they were basically overblown, It's like it's not necessary to mash on the A button to feel more connected to Goku's struggles. Like, you got it. You get the idea.
Oh man, did
Anyway.
Death Stranding have QuickTime events?
Death Stranding? I don't think so.
I don't remember.
I
See,
feel like-
it's one of those things that just quietly fades away. Like, I can't even really...
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Jake.
I was going to say, should we move on to news topics?
Yeah.
Yes, can I start with some important news?
Go for it.
The Pokemon World Championships were canceled.
No!
Oh,
That
In
is a
England,
shame.
right?
They were going to be in London.
Oh.
They are, as far as I know, supposed to be in London in 2021, and any points that players accrued over the season so far are going to roll over into that, which means plenty more time for me to get ready for my competitive debut.
Hey, you're doing pretty well, aren't you? Probably took a break because of Animal Crossing.
I've been taking a break because of Animal Crossing, but I feel like the first step was getting like an encyclopedia of knowledge. I did that. Now I have to practice. But I bring it up partially because Jake and I got to hang out with you, Ben, at the World Championships last year in Washington, D.C. And I missed the World Championships, and I was so looking forward to going, especially because I haven't been to London in many, many years. And so I was excited to see like friends like Will Potter, who would go for the trading card game. He's the one who sent me the news. And obviously, like, yes, it should be canceled due to the circumstances. But this is like the first event that I've been actually pretty sad about being canceled. So
over E3?
I mean, besides E3.
Okay.
No, I was sad about E3 too, but E3 is also, well, Pokemon World Championships are work too. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. If you are interested in playing the World Championships, please check out the guide videos that Jake and I made about how to do it.
Yeah, please do, because those were very thorough, and they need more views.
Please give them more views. We worked so hard.
Maybe just open up a monitor and play them on repeat in the background or something like that. I would love that.
We worked so hard for so long.
We can make it a new Let's Play series here at MinnMax. We'll just watch the YouTube video over and over and over again.
Oh my god, a partnership.
Reactions, episode 1, 2, 3.
Please watch that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess speaking on things getting canceled. QuakeCon has been canceled, which was scheduled for August 6th and 9th. And also Bethesda canceled its E3 showcase. I'm surprised they waited till now to do that. I figured they just canceled it with E3, but I was scrolling through our news feed today and saw that. And I was like, oh,
I was
okay.
surprised that Pete Hines did it on April Fool's Day.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
Oh God, we're recording on April Fool's Day. Yeah, we should say.
But then the thing is like there's stuff going on. Like Shroud posted today that he's gonna go pro in Valorant, the Riot shooter, and I'm like, is this a joke? I genuinely can't tell anymore.
Oh no.
Because like he could go pro in Valorant, and it would be great.
Yeah.
But it's April Fool's Day.
I was really banking on people just not doing April Fool's Day this year, just kind of ignoring it.
I liked the Blizzard one. The Overwatch one.
The Overwatch
and
one
I'm not
was
just
nice.
saying that because I'm a huge Overwatch fan, but the Overwatch one was good.
And the
April
PUBG
Fool's
thing
pranks.
seems silly and
Ooh.
fun.
What was the PUBG one?
PUBG, they have like a special event where it's all like, I haven't checked it out, but I definitely want to stream it at some point, but it's all like D&D characters on the island. It's like this whole twist. So that seems like a fun
sounds
game
rad.
mode. Yeah.
Oh, Jake, we gotta bring the boys back together to play some PUBG.
Return of PUBG. I think it's time. I think it's probably time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the Bethesda stuff, that's understandable, but I'm like, I just want to know more about what Arcane are working on. What's it called?
I want to know
Deathloop?
more about Starfield too.
On Starfield.
The interesting thing about the E3 showcase is that theirs would have been digital, and the justification, at least from what I saw, was that it was canceled because of like it would be hard to prepare it, not that because it wouldn't be like a physical thing.
Yeah.
So
I
maybe
think
that's
as well,
what
just
took so long.
Just they're figuring out the realities of game development from home.
Yeah, like I think
Yeah.
that's what took so long because you know, at first when E3 was canceled, we were still not like quite sure how serious it was going to be, how long we were going to be remote. I mean, we weren't remote at the time. Like, I bet it's like, oh, it's digital, we can work it out. And then the longer it goes on, it's like, you know what? I don't know if this is going to work.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see, you know, whatever Sony's doing or if Microsoft will try and scoop up some of or any of Bethesda's reveals for whatever they present during E3. But yeah it's wild to think because like Kotaku had that story a while ago about how Warner Brothers was going to have their first ever press conference at E3 this year too. And so I was like, yeah, I wonder what are they going to do? Are they going to abandon this whole thing too? Yeah. Or just knowing what Rocksteady's doing. Just anything, please.
Release a trailer. You cowards. Just do it. It's been years. You started teasing that game. Was it October last year?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
The Montreal game? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
the Montreal game started teasing last year on the Batman anniversary. And then, what's the guy's name? Snyder.
Scott Snyder.
Scott Snyder. I wanted to say Zack Snyder. I was like, no.
That's I was about to say that too.
Scott Snyder like quote tweeted it and he was like, oh yeah, Court of Owls is gonna be great. And then
She's
immediately
frozen. It happened again.
No!
She'll be back soon.
Am I back?
Yes.
You're back.
Okay, good. I was just complaining that, you know, it's Court of Owls. It has to be. Or at least they're in it at some point. I just need to know. I just need a new Batman game. It's like the only thing that I want right now is for Rocksteady and or Warner Montreal to just tell me what they're doing.
My brother has been replaying Arkham City out of desperation. Not that playing Arkham City is a desperate act, just like he needs something.
No.
Yeah.
You saw Timur's Kevin Conroy thing, right?
No.
Oh my god. Timur got Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, if you're not aware, on Cameo to record a thing for him. Because you know how Timur's goof is that he always talks about when it's his birthday on Twitter and it's his birthday a lot.
Yeah.
He had Kevin Conroy. He had Batman back him up. And it's legitimately the coolest thing I think I've ever seen.
Okay, hang on.
When
What
did
is
he do
this?
this?
What is this
He
Cameo
did this
thing?
So Cameo is an app where celebrities, you can pay celebrities to give you shout outs. Timur gave Kevin Conroy money and you give them a script too. So I'll dig it out. I'll send it into this chat later and we can maybe link it in the podcast notes. But he's got Batman backing him up.
That's amazing.
They have to like agree to read the thing, but like the actor who plays like Arthur Morgan, what's his name again?
Arthur? His name.
I just want to say Rob Whiteoff, but that's Marston.
No. Oh, I can see his face.
Clark, something Clark.
Right?
Roger Clark.
Yes.
He read one on Cameo that was like trans rights. It was like about how like
Yeah.
it was pro trans people, and everyone was like, Arthur Morgan supports trans rights, and it was great.
Really good.
Yeah. I feel like that would work out. Yeah, that would fit the lore okay, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
sure.
Anyway.
Before we move on, I should say that I didn't actually make it that far in news stories. I got about like a day and a half in, and I was like, there's too many news stories. I'm going to leave it at this. So there are definitely some things here missing. One thing I don't have on here, though, is all the stuff about Gearbox. I don't know if we necessarily want to get into that.
So, Callie, when you said, I'm going to start off with something big, I was like, ooh, we're doing Pitchford chat. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get the tea out.
No.
Yeah, so, wow.
I ignore his existence as much as I can.
He was a trending topic on my Twitter today.
Yeah, he still is. I mean, for some background, right, was a lot of Gearbox employees were promised like 6-figure bonuses, 5-figure bonuses, and all this kind of stuff after Borderlands 3 shipped. And then they announced today that they weren't doing that. Kotaku wrote up about it. Some sources told them, which is rough.
And then the other part was that upon the beginning of the development of Borderlands 3, apparently Pitchford took a, was it $12 million, $16 million payout?
a large
Something
bonus.
like that.
A big old bonus.
Has he... Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say that in the huge... And one of the really sad things is, like, the developers obviously went through crunch to get the game out. There was an engine change in the middle of development. It was a hard, long, protracted development cycle. The game sold incredibly well, but they were promised these bonuses, according to the Kotaku piece. And, you know, that's what was getting them through. And now it's not happening.
Because the explanation from Pitchford apparently in this meeting was like, well, we've expanded. We have the Montreal studio now. I think they expanded some other place as well. And so we kind of need it for the business overall. Has Pitchford tweeted about it, though?
I don't know.
I looked before noon and I didn't see anything. I'd be surprised if he hasn't said something about it.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Okay. Somebody must have put him in a straitjacket to make him not tweet about this yet. I mean, that is a lot of restraint for that guy.
The last thing he retweeted was about Golden Keys.
Okay.
That's what I saw. I was like, read the room, man.
He hasn't tweeted in 24 hours. He hasn't tweeted since...
Well, if you want to, you can support Jordan Remay's piece on GameSpot about the problematic aspects of the Lovecraft-themed Borderlands 3 DLC, because I think that people like to be racist about his opinion on that. So it would be nice to get some nice positive voices on that piece. It's the Guns, Love, and Tentacles DLC, and it's sounds pretty problematic, so...
Yeah, I have. I mean,
just in other
playing it the other
Gearboxes.
day. We started playing it the other day, and honestly, like, I was playing it in a group, and I wasn't listening to the game at all, which is par for the course with me in Borderlands. So reading Jordan's piece, I'm like, kind of glad. No.
Yeah, my understanding is that the plot of the game is that there's 2 gay black men, and one of them needs to turn into a straight white man for purity reasons, and then that's like the antagonist's goal, but the game doesn't interrogate that at all. So, it's rough.
Is that allowed?
Weird.
No.
Is that loud? Yeah.
Anyway, other news stories.
Switch remasters of Super Mario 64
thank
Galaxy
God.
and more reportedly on the way.
There we go. Mario to save the day. Hell yeah. Oh, man.
I haven't played any of those, so...
What?
Really? I haven't played Galaxy.
I haven't played Galaxy either.
I never had Nintendo. Like, I didn't have a Nintendo 64 when I was growing up or anything like that. The only Nintendo I had was I had a Game Boy Color, and the only thing I played on it exclusively was Pokemon Red, Pokemon Yellow, and The Mummy Returns.
Yeah!
One of those games is really good.
I also had Alone in the Dark.
Nice. Well done.
That's it.
That's excellent.
It's super exciting. It is that natural thing of the game industry of like, I wish this just hit me out of left field in a direct at some point of like, this coming to Switch, but equally exciting today, I guess, to open that present, right?
Yeah.
I'm
so excited to play Galaxy for the first time. Sorry, Jake.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's weird that they didn't put that in the direct at all. I also didn't believe it at first because it was like reports are saying that this is coming to Switch, and I was like, well, reports have been saying that we're gonna get the Metroid Prime trilogy on Switch for the past 4 years.
It's coming.
We'll see. But no, this is super exciting because, like Callie, I haven't played Galaxy, and everyone says that's one of the best, but I can't imagine it being better than Super Mario Sunshine. That's right. There's my stance.
Ooh,
wait. Okay, you're smiling. You know what you're saying right now. There's fascinating stuff though. Just trying to figure out like how they're going to port some of those games. Like Galaxy in particular, it's like okay, it's doable, but I'm trying to remember like. You go in the little star launcher, and I think you shake the Wiimote to like launch yourself out. And like, I'm not a fan of waggle controls in general, but like that was strangely satisfying. So hopefully they just really pack a lot of rumble into this thing, just more HD rumble than you can imagine to launch yourself out of that star to have some of the same effect.
And if you have a Switch Lite, you're shit out of luck.
Oh yeah, just shake the screen a little bit, but yeah. So it's going to be like this big celebration of Mario. So I guess Mario's anniversary is in September for the Japanese release, so I don't know if they're just going to dump it all on that day or trickle it out. But then they also said in these Eurogamer and VGC reports that a new Paper Mario is coming this year, which is very exciting to hear.
Yeah,
I'm ready for another Paper Mario game.
They should do a 1,000-year door re-release in Switch.
Absolutely. Well, this is the exciting thing is, God, I forget who it was. There was somebody on Twitter, some trustworthy sleuth a while ago that was talking about how Nintendo was going to release a new Paper Mario this year, and that apparently it's kind of like a return to its RPG roots and getting away from, the less than great entries over the last 10 years or so, but going back to like that 1,000-year door formula, which is just perfect.
Yeah, that game was good. Man, I think this is going to be a big year for Nintendo. With all these Mario games, and then like
it's already been a big year for Nintendo.
Yeah, it's already been a big year, but like the rumors that they're gonna surprise drop Zelda at the end of the year too are kind of getting more Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, which is like when people first started talking about it, I was like, no, that can't happen. But as things have been going on, it's been kind of like, yeah, I could see that actually happening, which would be exciting. I mean, we don't know anything. This is just speculation, but
okay, make the call, though. I think Giant Bomb talked about this maybe like a year ago on the Bombcast, but do you think they will call this All-Stars 2? Do you think they'll be so bold as to make this all bundled together and just go in that retro route? 'Cause that'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Oh, just like all the Mario games bundled together?
So all the 3D stuff, and then just call it Super Mario All-Stars 2.
Oh.
I don't know. It'd be a fun angle if they want it.
Yeah, it would be.
They can have it. It's theirs. Nintendo.
Please do it. Do the fun thing.
I wonder if it depends on how like crazy the remasters are going to be, like if their remasters are just more ports. Because if they redo them, like, I don't know, from head to toe, I could see them just doing full price games for each of them. But maybe if they are just remasters, I'll be like, here they are, our All-Stars 2.
Yeah, it'd be so fun to see Mario 64 in Odyssey's engine. I mean, they started to...
Totally.
There's that one level, at least, that looks so great. So it's like, well, they were inching that direction. So maybe in the last 3 years, they've been working hard at it. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. For a while there, you could have played Super Mario 64 in Dreams. Not anymore, though.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Damn it.
At least part of it.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of Nintendo Switch, the Switch prices surged due to a shortage. Turns out a lot of people are trying to order Nintendo Switches right now because they don't have a lot to do. And unfortunately, a lot of places are sold out. And I saw some prices going up to like $400, $380 for Nintendo Switches, which is insane.
Yeah.
I was going to change my... I bought a clear case for it, the Atomic Purple case, and I was going to change it. And then all this happened and I went, I'm not going to do that in case I mess it up. Because if I can play Animal Crossing from bed, yeah, I've got a Pro Controller, that's fine. But my favorite thing is to like have it on my desk as I'm working and sort of check my turnip prices. And I won't be able to do that because if I mess up and break my controllers. So yeah, that sucks. especially sucks when people sort of take advantage of the situation and like I've seen more than a few tweets of people just stockpiling them and then
price gouging.
Yeah.
Yuck.
But yeah. Did you see that slight tangent but not really, like the New York Times article where it's like, hey, you should be playing video games. And it's like, okay, we know, but been trying to tell you for years, but thanks.
Thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope it's actually helpful. I hope they like explain that, hey, if you use Discord or screen sharing, like you can play Jackbox remotely. Like I hope they give like some good strategies in it at least.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Sort of like, it has been wild to see the conversation change from video games are harmful to video games can help you in this time of need. And it's like, video games have been helping people in their times of need for years now. But,
literally, the World Health Organization was like, you should play video games. And like, there's an article from like last year where it's like, video game addiction's real. And it's like,
I don't doubt that. Like, you can get to a point where you are addicted to video games, but overall, they are massively helpful to people.
Yeah, like you can get, like people get addicted to other things that generally people aren't shitty about, so.
I would say I have a worse addiction to my phone.
Oh,
than
yeah.
anything else.
100%. Yeah.
Like, and yet, that's fine.
Yeah.
Games
not doctors. We are not doctors. But.
I did do my dissertation in video game addiction. But.
Wow.
Oh, right. You actually did psychology. You know things.
But.
Anyway, before we get on to listener questions, one last thing I do want to mention is Final Fantasy VII is shipping early in some regions on purpose, but Square sent out a tweet being like, hey, please don't spoil this for anyone. Good luck. I mean, I would say if you're excited for Final Fantasy VII and you're not getting that game early, like, just, I don't know, I don't want to say avoid the internet right now, but, like, be very careful when you scroll into comment sections.
Line up those muted words.
Yeah, line up those muted words. Like, I got part of Half-Life Alyx spoiled for me because there was a YouTube video that was like, here's what happens at the end, and it showed a picture, and I was like,
oh no,
that's more than I would ever want to see. Thank you. I remember the name of the channel, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to call him out right here, but I was bummed.
Call him out after. I want to know.
Yeah, I want to know.
I'll say after. You won't be surprised at all. I'll say it and you're like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
The thing about Final Fantasy is I know that people are just saying, hey, Square, push the button on digital. But I do wonder, there must be more steps for them to follow than just being able to push it live, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Because I know, like, even just generating codes ahead of time, that is not, like, a simple process for companies to do. Like, even to just give, like, us codes. Like, there's even a financial element to that. So, and, there's deals with publishers and agreements and,
advertising, changing your ads to say available now. Like,
I mean, all of that, it's not that simple, I would say.
Yeah, on the spoiler front too, my worst fear, and I think it's probably the case, is I think Square has spoiled the hell out of this thing on their own too. Like maybe just because I've been paying too much attention to the trailers and studying them and dissecting them too much, but it's one of those things where, like, putting all the trailers and all the clips that I've seen together at this point, it's like, I think we've seen almost everything in this game. Maybe they'll save, like, one twist in there somewhere, but, I mean, I think we've seen, like, the last shot of the game even. Like, it's pretty thorough, because they've been trying to wring marketing out of this thing for 5 years at this point,
Mm-hmm. I think that game's going to be very short. Like, not like 6 hours, like Resident Evil length, right? But I think that game's going to be, like, under 20 hours maybe to finish part 1, and then you're going to be waiting for part 2, part 3, and then in a couple years from now on the next generation of consoles, it'll be like, here's the full package at full length, which kind of makes sense because it seems like the detail they are going for, that would be really hard to, like, put all of that into one 60-hour game. But I imagine the budget for this game is massive, or this series.
I can't imagine. Yeah, I mean, I love it. What I played at the demo is just perfect. I'm so excited for it, but I worry, though, I hate being negative, but I worry that, like, they will try and pad it out a little bit from the sequences that we've seen by just doing kind of like fetch quests, or like every once in a while I see those glimpses of like just walking around Midgar and doing side quests and delivering packages for kids, and it's like, oh no, is this how they're going to kind of stretch out that running clock a little bit? So I'm worried about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Anyway, Lucy, do you want to take the first question here?
Oh, shall I?
Actually, hold on. Before you get into it, if you have questions for us, email us at afterdarkpodcast@gamespot.com, or we have just put up our Discord server, and so far it has been great. If you want in, please email us, tweet at us, whatever it might be. Just get a hold of us, and we'll get you in there as soon as possible. A couple of these questions are actually from the Discord server, so if you have questions and you want to see it right away, you can just drop it in join our Discord server. We have a channel right there for listener questions. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
So this is from Triceratops on Discord, who says, most people are now in isolation and wondering what to do with their time. Somewhere out there is someone who has never ever played a video game and has now got the urge to change their entire lives, blow their minds, and play a game. So my question is, what game or games would you suggest for a first-time gamer to get them through these shitest of days?
Whew. Animal Crossing.
I said shitest because I'm British.
It's spelled shitest.
I just love saying shite.
It's good. It's really good. I mean, Animal Crossing is just on the top of everybody's mind, but it's such a perfect choice. Like, for a game club, we had so many people write in talking about how like, I've been trying to get my wife or even like my kids into video games for years and years and years. And finally it took with Animal Crossing New Horizons. And there's something about just, there's not a threat. It's all just relaxed. The camera is not a hassle at all. It's just perfect for an entry point. But maybe somebody would jump in and be like, this is stupid. What are these animals doing? What am I supposed to do? How do I win? So maybe it's not the best.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to take into account the person that you're recommending it to. So, like, I really want to try to get my mom to play Animal Crossing. I keep showing her, like, Twitter photos of, like, people's cute rooms because she likes house decorating. So I'm like, wow, look what you can do in Animal Crossing. But I think, like, there's options for people who like, if you have somebody who's like really into like if they're really into like story-based things, so books is what that would be if you're not talking about a video game, books or movies, then maybe like you could choose like something like, I don't like to say this, but in the walking simulator vein, that's an approachable thing for people to play. It kind of gets people acquainted with video game controls, and then they're familiar with how stories are told already, and so a really interesting narrative can pull people through even if they're intimidated by the mechanics of something.
I wonder if the walking simulator thing though, like that first person like controlling that camera, I think would be a lot for somebody.
That's a good point.
So
I
what
don't know,
about
my parents both play video games, so I've like never had to deal with this. We had this article, we crowdsourced an article on the editorial side that was like games to play with people who don't play video games, and I was like, I have never had to do this. I don't have nothing to contribute, because like my mom doesn't really play a lot of games anymore, but she's the one who played a bunch of games with me, so it's like getting her to play Animal Crossing is more just convincing her that she has time to do it than anything else. So I'm not really the best. It's, she really liked Brain Age because there was Sudoku. Maybe there's something there.
Yeah,
the new Brain Age is not out in the US though, so that's only for those of you who are not in the US.
Yeah.
I remember talking about this last year on the podcast, but Erica, because it's designed specifically for people who don't play games, but because you're playing it on your phone, like the first thing it has you do is flip open a lighter and light it, but because you know what that motion is in real life, it's really easy for you to do it in the game, and you don't have to kind of deal with the video game language, I guess, of walking your character around. It's like super simple to interact with things. Yeah. But I mean, the problem there is like barrier to entry is you need to have a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, that's tough. I think if you have figured out like video conferencing with your family or with people that don't play video games, I do think the Jackbox games are the best, and Jackbox Party Pack 3 is still, I think, the strongest out of that batch with Quiplash and then TKO, or Drawful 2 is fantastic. And I mean, the Jackbox team has just been giving it away at this point. It was on sale on Switch for like 6 cents. It's just absurd.
TKO is so good.
It's so fun. Or if you want like something more focused and single player for these folks who don't play games, like on the story front, even something like Florence on mobile might be an interesting choice. Just nice, short, and simple. And then if you're into more systemic stuff, just get threes. Just introduce threes to somebody, and I think it'll take over their mind.
I play threes every day. I play it every day, and I have for like years.
Wait, threes?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay.
I've played threes every day for like 5 years.
That's stunning.
I don't even think about it. It's just part of my life.
Right. Of course.
So yeah,
I was going to say The Witness, I think, could be a good one. I guess that is a similar roadblock, right? You have to have a PlayStation 4 PC. I don't know if it's on Xbox. I think it's on Xbox now. But I think that's a pretty good one to go with. I actually have been wanting to show my mom in particular that because I think she'll get very into it. I don't know, like you do have to understand how to like control the character in a video game world, right? With like control sticks and like one's adjusting camera, one's adjusting movement. But I think those puzzles are like, just because you play a lot of games doesn't mean the puzzles are going to be any easier. Doesn't mean they're going to be quicker for you to pick up. It's still, everyone starts at that same level, and it is really satisfying to explore that world and do a lot of those puzzles.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I've seen people talking about Overcooked being a good one. Personally, I would get way too heated playing Overcooked with someone who didn't play video games. Because I already get pretty heated with people playing Overcooked. But a lot of people talk about playing with like their boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever and having a nice time. So if you're not, I guess, a piece of shit like I am, it might be good.
If your communication skills are above like stellar, then Overcooked is the one for you.
Well, anyway, let's do one more question here before we wrap it up. I think I'm going to do this one from Robert J on Discord as well. After hearing about Tam's Bloodborne Platinum Trophy, what are some of your proudest achievements or moments in games? I think we've had a similar question to this before, actually, at one point.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this last week, or like being jealous of someone else's achievement.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, we did. Well, maybe we can just say something quickly and then we can do one more after that. Because I was going to say mine is, I got the Sekiro 1000 gamer score on that, which was pretty cool. And then I got all of them in Modern Warfare 1, which I was very proud of because the Mile High Club on Veteran was a pain in the ass. Was an absolute pain in the ass.
I got to watch that at some point.
Slight tangent. Didn't they tease something for Sekiro like a while ago? And it hasn't come out yet?
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
Was it just like a bunch of wallpapers? I remember seeing something that they released. I don't know.
Are you thinking of Ghost of Tsushima?
No, it was definitely Sekiro.
Huh.
Tam will know. I'll message him.
I'm trying to think. It's before the Age of Achievements, but beating Metal Gear Solid 2 on Extreme back in the day was, I think, my greatest achievement. Not being great overall, but like, because that is absurd. You end up fighting like 40 Metal Gear Rays or something. It is just bonkers how much they dial that game up.
I would say every Battle Royale win I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels pretty damn good.
Jake, do you remember that day I got 3 chicken dinners in one day?
I do.
Incredible.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And like, I feel like getting wins in PUBG is very different than getting wins in other games because not only were you fighting against other players, you're also fighting against like the jank of that game as you were playing it.
I think they were all solo wins too.
Nice.
No, we got one at the end of the day, I remember. I think there were 2 solo wins.
I had 2 solo
and then
wins.
We got one at the end of the day that was ridiculous.
I would also say that as a child, I was able to fully mentally map out Banjo-Kazooie, and I would just tell my mom where all the collectibles were.
That is good. I was
Pretty
like,
good.
Your mom would be very proud of you for that. I'm very proud. So I have all the achievements in Mass Effect 2 because I've played that game like 6 times. But I'm also really proud of having the worst play of the game in Overwatch that me or any of my friends have ever seen. I remember I've talked about this before, but it's on Route 66. I'm playing a soldier. I run into a skirmish, die, get rezzed by a Mercy, and then I just miss all of my shots. And then I accidentally hit the Farah, who is mid-ult, and killed her. And so I got the play of the game because I technically did a shutdown. And it's awful. And there is a clip of it online somewhere. I think our friend posted it on his YouTube. And it's just everyone laughing at me. So that's what I'm most proud of.
Nice.
Callie, do you want to read this last question?
Yes. Hey, After Dark crew, I wanted to try something at your discretion, of course. I want to thank you for keeping this going during this crazy time and hope you are well and doing your best to keep your sanity as you are helping me keep some semblance of normalcy. You all remind me of my group of friends from college that would just hang out and drink and talk about all manner of things. So one of the things we do from time to time is go through hypotheticals from a favorite humorist of ours, Chuck Klosterman. Here goes. You are offered a brain pill. If you swallow this pill, you will become 10% more intelligent than you currently are. You will be more adept at reading comprehension, logic, and critical thinking. However, to all other people you know and to all future people you meet, you will seem 20% less intelligent. In other words, you will immediately become smarter, but the rest of the world will perceive you as dumber. And there is no way you can ever alter the universality of that perception. Do you take this pill? Thanks again for all you do. Take care. Will Collum from Des Moines, Iowa.
No,
I don't.
No.
Of course not.
Yeah, no.
I would take the opposite pill.
I would take the opposite pill too.
Really?
What's the point
No,
of
I
taking
wouldn't.
that pill if no one's gonna take you seriously and just think
You'd be-
you're being
Yeah, you'd be 10%
your-
better at solving math equations.
Sudoku?
Yeah, exactly. Who cares?
It would be for your own personal enrichment, right? But at the same time, if you were going to try to contribute anything to science, no one would ever approve your... I mean, it depends how
not
smart
even
you
just to
are.
science, to anything.
To anything.
Humans are a social. Everything pretty much humans do in terms of behavior is in order to increase their standing. Oh, Jake's computer is on
My
fire.
camera went out.
Wow.
It's been on too long.
Oh,
It means
great.
it's time to wrap up this podcast.
I think we're all in agreement we're not going to take the pill.
Yeah, no pill, please.
I'm perfectly happy with my level of intelligence.
Me too.
As
Jake,
Lisa
are we on
Simpson,
fire?
wait, really quickly, as Lisa Simpson says, as intelligence goes up, happiness often goes down.
Nice.
And I
I thought you were gonna say, as Lisa Simpson once says, like, you know, whatever.
Anyway, that's been episode 35 of GameSpot After Dark. Thank you so much for tuning in and sticking with us during this strange time. I hope you all are doing well and staying safe and staying healthy. Make sure to check out GameSpot.com and, of course, go check out MinnMax. See what they're doing over there. They're doing a lot of great stuff.
Thank you so much.
Ben, do you have any other plugs you want to share or anything coming up?
The MinnMax Show podcast is our main podcast. It's super fun. We talked about the Mario games. We ranked the 3D Mario games with David Sims from the Blank Check podcast. If you listen to that film podcast, so it was fun having him on. And then this Friday on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/MinnMax Show, we're launching a new show where we're reviewing screenshots from the community called Photo Mode Snap that I'm very excited about.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
check it out.
Callie, what about you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Inkydojiko, INKYDOJIKKO. And, yeah, please watch those Pokemon videos, the competitive Pokemon Explained. Please watch them. And then on top of that, please check out, we've been hard at work at GameSpot on Animal Crossing guides. I'm really proud of them. I've done a lot of work for them, so if they, I guess, I mean, they're doing well, so it's not like the Pokemon videos where I'm like begging you to please watch them. But if you found them helpful, or if you find anything that is missing, please let me know either way, and I'll get on that. And please check out the final review, because the review could use more views, actually. Thank you.
And Lucy.
I'm on Twitter at Lucy James Games, and I've actually been working on a new thing. So given the weird time that we're all living in, annoyingly, I was working on this, and then John Krasinski made one. But it's a kind of a good news show. We kind of have a working title of Good News Gaming. It should be up by the time this podcast goes out, but it's kind of highlighting just some feel-good news stories about gaming that maybe got lost in the shuffle because everyone is obviously preoccupied with what's going on in the world, and that's, it's super important that everyone stays informed, but there's a lot of cool stuff happening still that we wanted to highlight, so look out for that. Dave did an amazing episode of Loadout that's live about how the BFG originally started as a toy that the guys at id found in a Toys R Us. It's really cool. And next week Kurt is doing an episode of Remember When, shot from his house, and it looks amazing. about that random Resident Evil song from the DualShock version, and the crazy story behind that. And also, because my team's been doing a lot recently, and for some reason it's all coming out at once, we shot audio logs last year with Sojima-san from Atlas, the character designer on Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal, all about the new character Kasumi, and that's finally going up. Maybe it's already going up. We're just in final negotiations on it, let's say.
Awesome.
Please
There's a lot to check out.
Please be excited.
And you can find me at Jacob Deck, and if you want to get into this Discord, please let us know. We've got about 50 or so people in so far. We're not putting the link out there so anyone can join quite yet. We're just trying to like gauge who's interested in getting mostly like listeners of the podcast, people who tune into the live streams and whatnot in there first, and just kind of see what it's like, see what people are thinking of it. But anyway, that's all we've got. That's that on that. See you next week.
That's that on that.
Bye.
Bye.